إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. All praise is due to Allah. We seek His forgiveness and His help. And we seek refuge in Allah from the evil of our souls and the wickedness of our deeds. Whomever Allah guides, no one can misguide, and whoever Allah leads astray, no one can guide. And I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad is His slave and His messenger. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. All you believe, fear Allah like He should be feared, and die not except in a state of Islam. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. O people, fear Allah and you be dutiful to Him. He created you from a single person, that's Adam. And from that He created His mate, and that's Eve. And from them He dispersed many men and women. And fear Allah through whom you demand your mutual rights, and do not cut the relation of kinship. And surely Allah is ever and all watcher over you. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. All you believe, keep your duty to Allah and fear Him, and always speak the truth, and He will direct you to do righteous deeds, and will forgive your sin. And whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, then he indeed has achieved a great success. إن أصدق الكلام كلام الله. The most truthful speech is that of Allah, and you find the words of Allah in the Quran. وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. And the best of guidance is the guidance of our Messenger Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. And the most evil of deeds and the affairs of the religion is the innovation, for every innovation is a novelty, and every novelty is a misguidance, and all misguidance is in hell. ما هي الرحمة? What's mercy? Some of the definitions of mercy are leniency, compassion, and kindness. So the provider of mercy is the one that takes complete care of the person that they are the recipient of the mercy, to keep the recipient in good stead, just like a good mother. A good mother, she does all in her power to keep her children healthy, safe, and fed. And to Allah belongs the best and perfect names. And one of the names of Allah is Ar-Rahman. And Ar-Rahman is absolute mercy. And Allah heard the two names of Allah, Allah and Ar-Rahman, in Surah Al-Isra. Allah says, قُلُ ادْعُوا اللَّهَ وَادْعُوا الرَّحْمَنَ أَيًّمَا تَدْعُوا فَلَهُ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى, which translation of the meaning, call upon Allah or call upon Ar-Rahman. Either name that you call upon Allah, to Him belongs the best of names. And so the word Allah, when you say Allah, it implies directive. Allah directs you to do this and directs you not to do that. So people may, or the creation may feel overwhelmed by the directives, the commands from Allah. So Ar-Rahman balances that. So Ar-Rahman is merciful. So Allah makes it easy for people to carry out His instructions and His commands. At the end of Surah Al-Qalam, Allah says, في مقعد صدق عند مليك مقتدر. That's the believers, may Allah make all of us from them, will be in Jannah beside or in the hospitality of a sovereign of perfect ability. So in here, it implies a king with full control and conquering, but Allah immediately follows this surah with Surah Al-Rahman, and he starts Surah Al-Rahman with Ar-Rahman. So here he's talking about a king, but a king that's merciful. And Allah combines that meaning in Surah Taha, Ar-Rahman, in Surah Taha, Ar-Rahman al-Arsh istawa. The most merciful is above the throne, and Arsh, the word Arsh in Arabic means something that's high. So al-Arsh istawa is repeated 7 times in Surah Al-A'raf, Ar-Ra'd, Taha, Furqan, Sajda, and Hadid, and Yunus. So Allah uses the word Rahman in association with Al-Arsh in Surah Taha and Al-Furqan, and then he uses Allah and the Lord in the other verses. Allah starts Surah Al-Rahman with one verse. The first verse is Ar-Rahman, and that's to indicate that this name is exclusive to Allah. No one can or should have that name except Allah. And then Allah ends the surah with تبارك اسم ربك ذي الجلال والإكرام. Blessed is the name of your Lord, the owner of majesty and the owner of honor. For Allah is too majestic and too honorable to be disobeyed. And the word tabarak is a verb, and in Arabic, in grammar, it's called jamid, means it does not take any other form of tense like present and imperative, meaning amr. So that word, that verb, tabarak, is exclusive to Allah. Between the first verse and the last verse, the first verse talking about Ar-Rahman, that's one of the great names of Allah, and the last verse, which is Tabarak, blessed is the name of your Lord, there are verses that Allah mentions in it His mercy and His complete and perfect ability. So, starting with Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahman, you understand that there are 2 different types of mercy: a general mercy and a specific mercy. The general mercy, Ar-Rahmatul Amma, it encompasses everything, and Allah confers it on all the creation, whether they believe or they don't believe. An example of such mercy is rain. When Allah sends rain, He sends it all over the place. He doesn't just send it to specific people or specific group or man. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ يُرْسِلَ الرِّيَاحَ مُبَشِّرَاتٍ وَلِيُذِيقَكُمْ مِنْ رَحْمَتِهِ. And of His signs, that He sends the winds as bringers of good tidings and to let you taste His mercy. And bringer of good tidings here is meaning the rain. فانظر إلى آثار رحمة الله كيف يحيي الأرض بعد موتها إن ذلك لمحيي الموتى. So observe the effects of the mercy of Allah, how He gives life to the earth after the earth has died, like during the autumn season. And indeed, the one that can do that will bring people to life after they die. And the special mercy, Rahmatul Khassa, Allah gives it to a specific group of people. وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَسَأَكْتُبُهَا لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ. And my mercy encompasses all things, so I will decree it to those who fear me. Next, Allah mentions the 2 greatest mercies: Al-Hidayah wal-Khalq, guidance and creation. And there are from Ar-Rahman, علم القرآن خلق الإنسان. So he mentioned تعلم القرآن first, then خلق الإنسان. And there are reasons for putting guidance before creation. So we'll mention two of these reasons. One is that guidance precedes because it applies to a specific set of people. So only a subset of all the people that you see around you are guided. May Allah make us from them. And because guidance is the purpose of creation. Allah says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. So, to understand this, we'll illustrate with an example. You can hear me now because we are close. But if you are at a distance, then we need a tool to communicate. So somebody would then invent and make a telephone. So the telephone is the means for communication. So the purpose came first, then the telephone. You don't make a phone and then say, okay, what can I use it for? No, you say, I need a way to communicate, and then you make a phone. So that's the guidance, then the creation. And of course, whoever makes a phone, then they also provide you with instructions on how to use the phone properly. If you use the phone properly, then you benefit from it, you can communicate. If you use it improperly, then you get frustrated because it's not working as you expect it to work. And of course, for us, the instructions are in the Quran. In the Quran. So for us, the instructions are through revelation, through al-Wahy, and al-Wahy in some cases is through books, and the greatest of books is the Quran. So the Quran itself is the greatest form of mercy. And Allah says, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَا يَزِيدُ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. And we send down of the Quran that which is healing and mercy for the believers, but it increases the wrongdoers. It increases the wrongdoers with nothing but loss. The Quran is a medicine and a mercy. The mercy is, as we mentioned earlier, it's a precautionary measure. So when you're taking care of yourself, or your mom is taking care of you, or your dad is taking care of you, so you are fed, you are safe, you're doing okay. That's the mercy. But if you go, become a little careless, you might hurt yourself, and you might get sick, and then you need medicine to bring you back to health. And so the Quran is both mercy for the ones that follow it properly, and then when they divert away from it, then the Quran itself is a medicine that brings you back to the right path. Allah says, "Allam al-Quran." So as we know that teaching takes two objects: what is taught and who is taught. And so in this verse, Allah only mentions that what is taught. Allam al-Quran. The implied object is the messenger. So Allah allama rasulahu al-Quran. And that's in response to the non-believers at the time of the Prophet ﷺ that claimed that the Prophet made up the Quran, or he learned it from other people, or some other false claims. So this is a response to them. The second mercy that Allah mentions is the creation. خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ. And Allah created us, and He provided to us, and He subjugated the earth and the heavenly bodies for our service. هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا. It is He who created everything for you on earth. هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا. That the earth is spread out for you. وجعل السماء بناء, and the sky is like a canopy. وأنزل من السماء ماء يخرج به رزقا لكم, and He sends down the rain so you may benefit from the rain. So Now I understand the creation. علم البيان. So Allah taught people, or the human and the mankind, the communication, that they can communicate with each other. The only way that we know what we want from each other is through communication. And you know the story at the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah about Allah teaching the angels and Allah teaching Adam. When the angel said, "La ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana," we have no knowledge except that which you taught us. And then وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلِّهَا, and he taught Adam all the names. And of course, the greatest example of clear speech and communication is a message delivered by our messenger, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. الشمس والقمر بحسبان. The sun and the moon move by precise calculation. So the sun measures, one of the benefits, it measures the day for us. So that's how we know when to pray the 5 obligatory prayers. And the moon, then it measures the month. So every 29 or 30 days, the moon changes, and we know that the month is over, and that's how we know when to fast and when to have pilgrimage. And you know that the lunar year changes in season. If Allah were to make the month fixed at a certain season, then we would be fasting, for example, in the summer all the time, or in the winter all the time. And that would be difficult. وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتتقوا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا. And we have made the night and day 2 signs, and we erased the sign of the night and made the sign of the day visible, that you may seek bounty from your Lord and know the number of years and the account of time and everything that Allah has set out in detail. And Najmu wa-shajaru yasjudan. Here Allah mentions An-Najm and the trees. And An-Najm in this verse has 2 interpretations. One interpretation is the plant without trunk or stalk, like grass. So the tree, it has a trunk, and some other smaller plants, they have stalk, whereas grass and the like, they don't have stalk. So Allah mentions here, An-Najm wa-shajar means the plant, all kinds of plants. And the people that understood it that way, their evidence is that Allah mentioned in the previous verse, Ash-Shamsu wal-Qamar, so that Shams, the moon and the sun and the moon go together. So then An-Najm wa-Shajar, then it would be the kind of plant that go together. Other folks said no, An-Najm in this verse is the stars that are in the sky. And their evidence is that Allah mentions that stars and the trees in another verse in Surah Al-Hajj. أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَسْجُدُ لَهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ وَالنُّجُومُ وَالْجِبَالُ وَالشَّجَرُ وَالدَّوَابُ وَكَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. Do you not see that to Allah prostrates whoever is in the heavens and whoever is on earth, and the sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the trees, the moving creatures, and many of the people? And definitely prostration, the sujood, is the state when one is closest to Allah. And Allah honored the sujood, the prostration, by prohibiting the hellfire from eating or burning the places of prostration. So some of the believers will initially make it to hell. Allahumma nas'aluka al-jannah biduni hisab wa sabqat ala. So the folks that do go to hell and then later on will be rescued, the fire will not touch the places of sujood, and that's the face, the palms, the knees, and the toes. والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان And Allah raised the sky. And as-sama, from the word sama, means to go up high. And sami is somebody that's high. So Allah raised the sky and He established the balance. So Allah uses the balance, and in a lot of cases here, we use the word scale. As you know, the scale only tells what something weighs. So if you go to the grocery store, you put something in a scale, it just tells you what it weighs. Whereas the balance has two hands. So it compares what's in this pan to this pan. So they are equal when the two pans are at the same level. And so the Quran, in many cases, in many places, Allah mentions or emphasizes the importance of truthfulness in statement and in deed. The longest verse in the Quran is at the end of Surah Al-Baqarah, and in it Allah is talking about the debtors and the creditors, and Allah preserves the rights of both. And Allah in Surah Al-Shu'ara mentions 4 nations that He destroyed: the people of Noah, the people of Ad, and of Hud, and the people of Salih. All 3 of those nations, Allah mentions in the Quran that He destroyed them because of their kufr and their shirk. Then Allah mentioned the people of Hud and the people of Shu'aib. Even though these people were also kuffar, but Allah specifically mentioned that one nation, which is the people of Hud, they turned things upside down. They turned the truth upside down. And the word if in Arabic means upside down. So in Surah An-Nur, when Allah mentions the story about Aisha radiallahu anha, when the people accused her of what she didn't do, so they turned things upside down. Allah didn't say that they lied. No, Allah said they committed ifk because she is pure and trustworthy, and they accused her of impurity and betrayal. That's upside down, and Allah Azza wa Jal punished those people by turning them upside down. So the punishment befits the crime. And the people of Shu'aib, they transgress in terms of weights and measurement. If something is for them, they ask for more than what they should get. But if they try to give people, then they are deficient. And needless to say, if you've been watching TV recently, probably from a year or so ago, that how many protests been erupting in the U.S. Because of unfairness or perception of unfairness. I'm not here to explain, to talk about who's right and who's wrong. The idea is, when you are in charge of public affairs, it's important that the pans of the balance are at the same level. If they're not at the same level, then bad things will happen. And as I mentioned, you've seen that. So when you are in charge of public affairs, it's important that the pans are at the same level. So the employer should be fair with the employees should be fair with the employer, meaning that they should do their work honestly. The parents should be fair with their kids, the kids should be fair to the parents, the relatives with each other, and people in general should be fair with each other. The only time that you want the pans of the balance to be tilted one way but not the other is on Judgment Day. You want the pan that has your good deeds to outweigh the one that has your bad deeds. If it doesn't, then blame none except yourself. وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ فِيهَا فَاكِهَةٌ وَالنَّخْلُ ذَاتُ الْعَصْفِ وَالنَّخْلُ ذَاتُ الْأَكْمَامِ وَالْحَبُّ ذُو الْعَصْفِ وَالرَّيْحَانِ. Allah mentions that Allah He put down the earth, as we mentioned earlier, for the creation, especially for mankind, and He provided the provision. So which of your فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ? So which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? Of course, the answer, this is a question to mankind and to the jinn, and definitely the answer and the only correct answer is none. So the jinn, when they heard these verses, they said, لَا نُكَذِّبُ بأي أنعم ربنا ولربنا الحمد. So it's very important for you when you hear this verse, فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان, that you say, I don't deny any of my Lord's favor, and to my Lord is all praise. خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار. So Allah created man, or Adam, I should say, Adam from dirt, from clay, and al-jinn from smokeless fire. And fakhar in Arabic, it sounds like fakhr. And fakhr, so fakhr and fakhar, they sound alike. And fakhr, of course, is boasting. And boasting is to talk proudly about things that you do or can do, or somebody else that you know can do, just to impress others. So an empty jar made of clay, when you tap on it, it makes a sound, but when it's filled and you tap on it, it doesn't make a sound. So make sure that you fill yourself with beneficial knowledge, so when you talk, you don't sound empty. And fire, which is al-jinn, is from fire. It has fire, as you know, has the propensity, meaning the natural tendency to take down everything around it. So when fire erupts in a forest, it does not stop, if not controlled, until it burns everything down. If it erupts in a structure, it doesn't stop on its own unless it takes everything down. And then, if it doesn't find anything else to burn, then it will burn itself. And as you know from the stories of the Quran about the time of the creation of Adam, how Shaitan mocked Adam by saying that خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. So you created me from fire, you created them from dirt, and definitely fire in a Shaitan's perception is better. And at the end of Surah Al-Naba, Allah said, إِنَّا أَنذَرْنَاكُمْ عَذَابًا قَرِيبًا يَوْمَ يَنظُرُ الْمَرْءُ مَا قَدَّمَتْ يَدَاهُ وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنتُ تُرَابًا. So Allah is warning us of a punishment that's coming soon, when we look at what we have put forth for that day, and the kafir says, I wish I were dirt. Shaitan is kafir. He said he mocked Adam, so you can understand that verse in that way. That at the end, that he would wish that he were. Then in several verses after that, Allah mentioned His perfect and complete ability. رب المشرقين ورب المغربين مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان يخرج من بينهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان وله الجاريات المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام. So Allah mentioned that He is the Lord of the sunrise, the sunset, He is the Lord of the fresh water, the salty water. The two bodies of water meet, but they don't overpower each other because of the barrier that Allah put among them. And from them we benefit. And then to Him also belongs the ships. So the ships, they don't float on top of the water except by the mercy and permission of Allah. Just like the birds, they don't fly except by the mercy and permission of Allah. And then Allah states a fact that no one can deny because it's as clear as daylight. كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ. So we all will die. Nothing will stay alive. وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. But the only thing that remains is Allah Azza wa Jal, for He is the ever-living. And definitely seeing the face of Allah is the goal, the ultimate goal of the believers. إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. So we feed you, we give you food. That's the believers giving the poor people food, and we don't want in return any rewards or even thanks, because they are doing it because they want to see the face of Allah Azza wa Jal, which is imperative. وسيجنبها الأتقى الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى ومن يحسن عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى. And so the one that will be diverted away from hellfire is the one that he spends his money in charity only for the sake of seeing Allah's face, and he doesn't want any reward or thanks from anybody. And then another example is واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه. And so be patient along with the people, the believers who call on Allah in the morning and in the evening, only seeking to see His face. And in the morning, they ask Allah before when they leave out to work or wherever the places they're going, they ask Allah to make it easy for them to do good deeds. And then when they come back, then in Bil-Ashi, they ask Allah to forgive them for any shortcomings that they committed and not complete, carrying out the Allah's commands. And as you know, that الدنيا لا تطيب إلا بذكر الله والآخرة لا تطيب إلا بحب الله والجنة لا تطيب إلا برؤية الله. For this world is made pleasant only by the remembering of Allah, and the judgment day is made easy only by the forgiveness from Allah, and paradise is made more pleasant only by seeing the face of Allah. يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن. So whoever is in the heavens and in the earth, they ask him every day, and every day it is bringing about matter. So understand that Allah is in complete and full control of the affairs of this world. Whatever takes place is only unveiling of what Allah has already decreed, and it's not something that He just started. For Allah, when He first created the pen and the tablet and asked the pen to write what it's going to take. That's 50,000 years before He created the heavens and the earth. And an example of that is you recently saw on TV, probably, or in the news, about a medical doctor in New Orleans that he saw somebody either robbing or abducting a woman, because they said both. And then he kind of intervened, and so the guy, the abductor or the robber, then he shoots him in the stomach so that the medical student falls down on his knees and he's helpless. And then the guy tries to shoot him in the head twice, and twice the gun jams. So you understand that Allah permitted one bullet to go in the stomach, did not permit any other bullets to take place, and the guy was helpless, nobody around. And that just to show you the ability that Allah is in control and everything is already preordained. And so be of the people that من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. So whoever does righteous deeds, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life. And a good life in this sense is somebody who's content. So if you are content with what Allah gives and what Allah takes, then that's a hayatun tayyib. And don't be like وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ فَإِنْ أَصَابَهُ خَيْرٌ اطْمَأَنَّ بِهِ وَإِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ فِتْنَةٌ انقلب على وجهه خسر الدنيا والآخرة ذلك هو الخسران المبين. And of the people is he who worships Allah, riding the fence. So if something good is given to him, then he's reassured, he's happy. But if something bad happens to him, then he turns away from Allah. And so to that is the manifest loss. يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. So Allah is addressing the jinn and the people that if they can flee, run away, then go ahead and do it. And then of course you can't do it without you can't do it because nobody escapes the authority of Allah. And one of the understandings of this verse is the difficulties of Judgment Day. So on Judgment Day, when people see what's taking place and what's about to happen, then they try to escape. And of course, they cannot escape. And this meaning is supported by another verse from Surah Ghafir, وَيَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ يَوْمَ التَّنَادِ يَوْمَ تُوَلُّونَ مُدْبِرِينَ مَا لَكُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ عَاصِمٍ وَمَن يُضْلِلِ اللَّهُ فَمَا لَهُ مِنْ هَادٍ. And all my people, indeed I fear for you the day of calling, the day you will turn your backs fleeing, and there isn't any for you from Allah, any protector. And whoever Allah leads astray, there is no one to guide. فَيَوْمَئِذٍ لَا يُسْأَلُ عَنْ ذَنبِهِ إِنسٌ وَلَا جَانٌ. And so that day, no ins, no people, and no jinn will be asked about their sins. Now you may say, well, yeah, but Allah says in other verses that He will ask. فَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الَّذِينَ أُرْسِلَ لَهُمْ وَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Or وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ. In these verses, Allah mentions that there will be questions. To understand that there are two questions that are asked, and that is they are asked for chastisement and rebuking. And there are questions that are not asked, like this question. Nobody will be asked. For one thing, Allah knows and the people don't know. أَحْصَاهُ اللَّهُ وَنَسُوهُ. Allah has recorded their deeds and they've forgotten. So there's no need for Allah to ask, what did you do and why did you do it? يُعْرَفُ الْمُجْرِمُونَ بِسِيمَاهُمْ فَيُؤْخَذُ بِالنَّوَاصِي وَالْأَقْدَامِ. The criminals will be known by their markings and they will be seized by the forelock and the feet. And one of the markings is blue eyes. يَوْمَ نَحْشُرُ الْمُجْرِمِينَ Zorob in Surah Taha, that when we gather the criminals, blue, and blue is here, blue eyes. And of course the believers, they will also be known by markings from evolution. اسأل الله العظيم المغفرة ويغفر لكم.
يرضى إلى العصر.
And then, and وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ. So here Allah is talking about fearing the people who fear standing before Allah on Judgment Day. And Allah mentions 4 gardens, and 2 and 2. And fearing, of course, standing before Allah, because if you were to go to court for some reason, then in some cases you are worried and you show reverence and remorse to the judge. So Allah is more befitting that you fear Him. So Allah mentions, and for those people are the garden, and He describes 2 and 2. So in the first 2 He says Dawata Afnan, meaning branches or colors, and the other one is Mudhamatan, that means dark green in color. And the first 2 have springs that flow, فيهما عينان تجريان, and the other 2 فيهما عينان نضاقتان, meaning springs that spout. And then the first 2, there are unenumerated fruit, من كل فاكهة زوجان, and the other 2 are enumerated fruit, and he mentions 2 in particular. So فيهما فاكهة ونخل ورمان. And then for the women in the beautiful women in the garden, he uses fihinna, not fihima, and those are the beautiful women in the garden. And at the end, Allah says, "Al-jazā'u al-ihsāni illa al-ihsān." Is good met with anything but good, and good in this case is worshiping Allah alone, carrying out His command, and refraining from His prohibition. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وعملا صالحا ورزقا طيبا. Our Lord, teach us what benefits us and benefits and make us benefit from what He teaches us and increase us in knowledge. And Allah, we ask You to grant us beneficial knowledge, good deeds, and good provision. إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.